Steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king.
Let me first begin by expressing my gratitude to everyone who called and texted and sent well wishes. I think that really helped my recovery, just hearing from so many people. How did some of y'all get my number? No, it meant a lot. It did. I heard from everybody I ever met, I think, and a few people that I haven't met. So I don't even have the words to express the gratitude. So the last thing I remember on Friday, August 29th was I felt horrendous that morning. So that Tuesday of that week, I took a day off because I felt dreadful when I woke up that morning. And I tried my best to get myself together on Tuesday. That must have been August 26th. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out of bed. I just felt absolutely miserable. I had no energy. I just felt sick. So I took Tuesday off just to rest, relax, and recover. At this point, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just knew that I could not work in the state that I was in. And so I took Tuesday off. And it was an unusual time because people were still reeling from the loss of our previous morning show. And so when I'm not on air, because I usually let folks know in advance if I'm not going to be on air. So when people didn't hear me that Tuesday, some folks assumed the worst, including a rumor that started that I got fired. So that happened that Tuesday, but I needed that Tuesday to try and get myself back together. But by Tuesday afternoon, I felt perfectly fine. Went on about my daily routine. I came to work Wednesday, August 27th. I was fine. Thursday, August 28th, I was fine. I wake up the morning of Friday, August 29th, was not fine. I was nauseous. I was dizzy. I was sweating. So I said, okay, let me drink some water. Let me take a shower. I'm going to go to work. But I took my time in arriving. I usually like to get here by about 7 a.m. so I can be in this environment to prepare. I can prepare my shows at home, but I would rather be in the environment in which I'm going to be doing my shows when I am preparing. But I could not make it in by 7 a.m. on Friday, so I took my time to get here. I arrived at probably 8:30. Now, keeping in mind, I did not have the energy to prepare a show, but I was leaning on the fact that I have done thousands, literally thousands of 3-hour shows. I was like, you know what? I don't feel good. I don't want to miss 2 days of work in a week. It's Friday. I'm going to get through it. I've done so many other 3-hour shows. Let me get this show under my belt, and then I'm going to take the entire weekend to rest. That was my intention coming in on Friday. Where I prepare my shows here at this radio station, we have 2 floors. I have a show preparation room that I use, and it's upstairs. I was so weak on Friday that I couldn't even climb the stairs to go to the show preparation room. So I was down on the first floor, just kind of scanning through a handful of headlines. Wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about. I was going to make the best of it. Get in the studio, mics turn on at 9 a.m. on Friday. I immediately feel just woozy, but I'm pushing through. I'm going through it, and the show starts to develop, and we're talking about God knows what. People are calling in. I'm like, okay, 9:30, 9:45. All right, I think I'm going to make it. And I feel miserable. And if you go back and watch that video, and I did watch a part of it, but it's hard for me to watch that video because as I'm watching myself on that Friday, August 29th YouTube broadcast, as I'm looking at myself, I look unwell. You all probably cannot tell, but I can. And I also know as I was watching that video, because trust me, I've had a lot of time to watch videos and to think and to refigure my life. It was hard for me to watch because I knew how I was feeling in those moments. So 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'm done with hour one. I'm like, okay, I got 2 more hours. And I never in my life felt like 2 hours was an eternity. Usually these shows go relatively quickly. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've been doing them for so long. The hours, they just move, right? And I remember looking up at the clock and it was 10 o'clock and I was like, how am I going to get through 2 hours feeling like this? 10:15, I'm struggling. You see me take drinks of water while I'm on the air. Not coffee. I'm drinking water because I'm feeling dehydrated, or I think that I'm dehydrated. So at this point, by 10:15 or so, my back starts hurting horrendously to where I'm fidgeting in my seat. But I try and keep it relatively moderated because I know that I'm on camera and you guys see every damn thing. 10:30 comes and I'm at a point now where I don't know what to do. Do I run out of here? What do I tell Ricky? What are we going to do for the duration of my show? Because by the time 10:30 on Friday, August 29th rolls around, I'm like, I'm not going to make it until noon. I didn't know how bad it was going to get, but I knew that I wasn't going to make it. Al calls. You can kind of see it in the video, and I'm trying to keep it together. And I'm responding to Al, but Al is just flying off the rails. He's talking about like selling PCP. And I'm just, at this moment, I'm feeling like I'm fading in and out, but I'm still trying to keep it together. And so here's what I'm telling myself. I am going to get through Al's call, which is a lot easier said than done sometimes. And so once I get through Al's call, I'm gonna take a commercial break and I'm gonna reassess exactly what the hell I'm going to do. Because at that moment, I knew I was not going to make it until noon. This show was going to be short. The last probably 15 or 20 seconds of Al's phone call, I have no conscious memory of. I'm already starting to go unconscious. But when I watched it, I'm still talking, which is just some incredible muscle memory to say the least. So there's a button in here in the studio that I can push. So if you've never seen this studio, or if you're not familiar with a radio studio, there's usually 2 studios. There's a studio where the host sits by himself or herself. That's where you see me right now. And then we have the producer studio, which is where Ricky usually sits today. Xavier's in for Ricky, but they're in a separate room. If there is an emergency or if something comes up, there are buttons that I can push in my studio to send myself to commercial break. Now, that is usually reserved for the producer. They take me to commercial break. So you'll hear me do my, Keep It Locked, 101.7 The Truth, blah, 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 blah. And then Ricky pushes a button in the producer studio. Well, I knew that after Al's call, I could not go on. So Al's call ended. I'm also thinking to myself, is Al's voice going to be the last voice I hear? That's an interesting thought. Because at this point, I'm fading. I push the buttons in here to send myself to commercial break. Ricky freaks out. Ricky has no idea what's going on. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Because I went to break really, really early. And radio is all about timing. Like, I have to take breaks at certain times. I got to come back at certain times. We in the hour at certain times. But when I took that commercial break, it screwed up all the timing. Ricky got caught off guard because I didn't tell him that I needed to go to break. I sent myself to commercial break because I simply could not go on. After that, I don't really remember much. Some time had passed. I have no idea how much time had passed. And I look up and I see Ricky is now in the studio with me. And he's walking toward me with a paper coffee cup with water in it. And he's telling me to drink the water. At this point, I don't even know where I am. Okay, I'm wondering why Ricky is in my studio giving me water. I'm like, this is odd. And then I look to my left and I see Zach, DJ Brother Z, on his cell phone, and he looks panicked. And all I know at this point in time is something is unusual, but I do not know what it is. The next thing that I remember after that, so I'm unconscious now. The next thing that I remember is, this is going to sound crazy. Our HR director is now in the studio with me, and she's rubbing my back and talking to me. And again, I'm confused. I'm in and out of consciousness, right? So I'm looking at her, and I'm like, okay, so Ricky was in here. Zach was on the phone. Now the HR director is in here rubbing my back and talking to me, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a horrible time to fire me. Because why would Lisa, the HR director, be in here unless I'm getting canned? I'm like, oh, this is just an awful thing. That was my last recollection of that. The next thing I know, I'm laying on the ground in the studio looking up, surrounded by very muscular and handsome white men. Cause I didn't know, I still didn't know what was happening. I knew that I was in the studio. I knew that I was laying on my ground, and there's a lot of commotion. I'm hearing just a lot of like yelling, and people are talking, and there's a lot of things going on, and I'm just confused. I don't know what the hell. He's very muscular, very attractive Caucasian man. I was like, I died and went to the wrong heaven. Well, those were paramedics, and they're cutting my clothes because they're trying to get an IV in my arm. And I'm thinking to myself, because that maroon ruby colored fleece I was wearing, I like that fleece, and they're cutting my fleece. And I didn't appreciate that. They're cutting it. They're trying to get an IV. As all this commotion is happening, I am in a kind of excruciating chest pain I can't describe. There's an elephant on my chest. My jaw is hurting. My left arm is in excruciating pain. I think I'm having a heart attack. Boom, it clicks. I'm having a heart attack. Right here on the floor in the studio. I remember them yelling out 2 numbers. And when I heard those numbers, it became much more real for me. My blood pressure fell to 70/40. Now, I don't know if you know much about blood pressure, but when you are experiencing blood pressure that low, you are checking out. They put me on a stretcher, and now I'm being wheeled out of the studio, down the hallway, through the 3rd Street Market Hall, which is not where you want to be wheeled out on a stretcher, because I don't know if you've ever been to a 3rd Street Market Hall or any market hall of that sort. There's many, many people. There's an oxygen mask on my face. I remember the fresh air hitting me when we get outside, and they put me in the ambulance, and we're on our way to Columbia St. Mary's. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back and tell you the rest of a horrendously frightening ordeal, but I'm not dead. Look at that. I'm using up all these 9 lives. I don't got many left. So I'm on my way to Columbia St. Mary's, and I'll let you know, it just keeps getting better from there. So I'm going to take a break, come back, and let you know the rest of what happened. So now I'm in the ambulance, laying on my back with paramedics talking to me, and I'm a little bit more lucid now, and I have an idea of what is going on. And I remember asking them, did I have a heart attack? Because my chest is just, I cannot explain to you the pain. If it wasn't for my blood pressure being as low as it was, 70/40, I would have thought that I passed out because of the pain. I keep asking these guys because I got to know something. I got to know what happened. And they don't tell you anything because they don't know. Their job is to transport me somewhat semi-alive to the emergency room. We get to Columbia St. Mary's and there's more commotion. So while all this is going on, I'm trying to make out exactly what is happening. And people are they're saying a bunch of stuff and there's a lot of commotion and there's yelling and there's talking and it sounds like, you ever listen to sound when you're underwater? Like you go swimming and you hear people are talking above the surface of the water, but you can't really make it out. So it sounded like I was underwater as everybody is talking. There are unusual things that I remember about this particular ordeal, but one thing that'll never leave me is as they're wheeling me out of the studio on a stretcher or a gurney or whatever that thing is, I remember looking at people's faces because I'm awake, and I see the horrified look on some of my colleagues' faces, and when I saw the looks on their faces, then I started to panic because then I'm thinking like, uh-oh, I must look terrible. Something really bad is happening. I get to the ER. My parents are there. And a tall African-American man also comes into the emergency room. And I have the most wonderful nurse. Her name is Avery. I think Avery may have saved my life. I kept asking Avery if I had a heart attack. Avery didn't know. She's just working on me, and now they're trying to get the IV in. And you know, when your blood pressure is really low, your veins constrict. So they're just poking and poking and poking. They're trying to get the IV in. The pain is awful. Still feel like I have this elephant on my chest. And so the African-American man who was in the emergency room, so my parents are on my left. They look worried. But then this black fella, very tall black fella, I was like, is he a buck? Why is there a basketball player in here? I remember, I'm very confused, okay? They tore up my fleece. They had to cut my fleece to try and get the IV in me. I'm in bad shape altogether, right? I don't know where my cell phone is. And there's a tall black fella in the emergency room. He says, "Hi, Sherwin. You scared a lot of us." And I'm still not sure who this man is. I'm like, is this Jesus? Is this black man? Who is this black fella? Why is he here? I don't know this fella. He said, "My name is Andre Story, and I'm the president of Columbia St. Mary's Hospital." And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's very nice of him. The president of the hospital comes and introduces himself to new admittees. So I'm like, oh, that's great customer service. And he assured me that they were going to take very good care of me. And he said, "Sure, when you worried a lot of us are very scared, but we're going to take good care of you." I'm like, well, thank you. I also was shocked to know, because at this point, my care was being administered by nothing but white people. And at some point, I'm thinking to myself, if any of these white folks that are taking care of me and literally saving my life in this vulnerable state listen to my show, they're going to let my black ass die. So it was so comforting to see the president of the hospital was an African-American man. He was like my defense. So maybe he would step in as president of Columbia St. Mary's and not let any of the white people murder me. Because I don't know. I've listened to some of my shows in the past, and if I was white, I might want me dead too. However, I digress. I am reasonably stable. They're treating me for a heart attack. Here comes the cardiologist asking me a bunch of questions, asking me about the medications that I'm on, and I'm getting what is called an echocardiogram, which is essentially an ultrasound of your heart. I am shirtless. I don't know, I might be pantsless too, and they put the ultrasound jelly on your chest, and this woman is just digging this ultrasound wand into my chest. Now, remember, I'm still having excruciating chest pain, and my left arm is hurting. I have all of the classic symptoms of a heart attack. They gave me nitroglycerin, and I'm thinking, okay, that makes sense. I probably am having a heart attack. Here's what actually took place. I, like an idiot, ignored signs really all summer that my body was telling me something, because we can dismiss our illness, our feelings of illness as, oh, maybe I didn't get enough sleep last night, or maybe that meal that I ate didn't agree with me, or, I happen to be very, very tired. Maybe I'll take a nap and then take another nap. I really didn't have a lot of energy all summer. In fact, at Truth Family Fest, which was the Saturday before all of this, so that would have been August 23rd, I didn't even want to go to Truth Family Fest because I felt so miserable on that Saturday, because I wanted to take that entire weekend to just rest and relax. But my energy level had been down all summer, and I was not paying attention to my body. Let this be a tale of caution for all of you. You can ignore what your body is telling you all you want to, but eventually your body is going to win or your body is going to quit. It is your body that will ultimately send up enough warning signs to where you will need to get emergency treatment. And I know a lot of us like to be tough and we like to battle through the pain and we're going to go to work. I'm not ever again, not me. No way. If I got a hangnail, I'm calling into work. Got a hangnail. Better go see the black president of Columbia St. Mary's and show him my hangnail. I'm not going to ignore the signs of my body ever again. I have an inflamed stomach lining that was so bad that it was bleeding. I was bleeding internally. And the internal bleeding was so bad, so they give you this number. And there's a lot of specialists coming in and a lot of doctors and a damn cardiologist. Oh, wait till I tell you guys the part where they thought I was a diabetic. I do not have diabetes. In fact, the one good thing about my health is I got really healthy blood sugar. But then they thought I had diabetes, and they brought in all these diabetes specialist people. I'm like, oh, great. Now I got diabetes. Now they're going to amputate my leg, and I'm going to be rolling around in a wheelchair like Lisa. It was very bad. Horrible. Remember, I'm still thinking I had a damn heart attack on the air. How embarrassing. So they measure your iron level. So I'm anemic, and a lot of people got low iron. And so I have to be extremely careful about what I do, how I do it, the foods I eat, et cetera, et cetera. Most of us can survive with anemia, but it really does sap your energy levels. But for some reason this summer, my energy levels were lower than I can ever remember them being, because I really had this internal bleeding essentially all summer long, and I basically ignored it, okay? So there's a number that they give you. It's your hemoglobin. This is how they measure the iron that is in your blood. I think a healthy hemoglobin number is something like 13.7 or 15.2 for men. Hemoglobin is what transports oxygen throughout your body, through your red blood cells. Now, remember, a healthy hemoglobin level is somewhere 13, 14, 15. My hemoglobin, so I'm going to pause there. You got to Google that, a hemoglobin level of 6.0. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, I need blood transfusions immediately. So I'm going to pause there, take a break, come back, and tell you the next part of this ordeal. So at least at this point, I was told that I did not have a heart attack. But remember, I still have this elephant on my chest, and I'm complaining to my ER nurse, who is an absolute saint. Can I just take a moment and shout out nurses? I had some of the best nurses. Maybe it's because Andre Story, the black president of Columbia St. Mary's, made sure I had the finest chocolate nurses. Side note, I remember when nurses wore scrubs, and scrubs were loose. Scrubs are tight now. Scrubs are clothes that you can wear to the club. So you have all of these nurses that are in surprisingly good shape taking care of me while I'm wearing a hospital gown with my ass out 94% of the time. So I'm a side sleeper, okay? And I sleep on my side, on my right side, you see. So I'm at Columbia St. Mary's. I'm going to do this little side note, then I'm going to take a break, come back, and talk about what actually happened with me. I did not have a heart attack, and once they realized I didn't have a heart attack, they gave me morphine for the pain. My God, heaven can't feel that good. I see why people get addicted to that. So I'm a side sleeper. And I'm laying in my hospital bed. This is sometime later. I know I'm going to jump around a little bit. And I'm laying on my right side. And so my back is facing the entryway to my room, okay? And maybe my door was open, maybe my door was closed, but I know that my nurse came in and she said, "Oh my, Mr. Hughes, we got to get you covered up." So I'm laying on my right side and just my whole back and ass is just laying for the world to see. So anybody walking past my room got a shot of chocolate moon. Because I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not concerned about fashion. I even took a couple of selfies in the hospital. Just know if you saw any of those selfies that I posted on social media, my ass is out. So go ahead and just picture that. That one's free. You're welcome. It's just because I walk around my room just because I'm naked under my robe because they're drawing blood and they're doing all of the things. There's no use of even tying the hospital robe. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back. So with an iron level that's that low, my heart was not getting enough oxygen. So my heart mimicked a heart attack. And my heart was thinking, okay, I'm going to let him know that something is wrong. And then that's the crushing chest pain that I felt. So I eventually leave the emergency room at probably 10 p.m. that night. I'm stable, feeling a little bit better. Now, I hadn't eaten because I don't eat breakfast before the show. So I had not eaten since the night before, and now it is probably 10 p.m. So the entire ordeal now has lasted about 12 hours because I was wheeled out of here probably 10:45 a.m. and now it's 10 p.m. and I am starving. Well, the hospital is no longer serving food. And so another black guy, he comes in my room, and I think he might have been a security guard. I don't know who this guy was. I was like, oh, great. Now this black guy's coming to kill me. Like, this black guy's going to murder me in the hospital room. This is why Trump is sending the National Guard everywhere. And he comes in, he's like, hey, brother. I was like, yeah? Is you hungry? I remember, I don't know who this man is. He did not introduce himself to me. I said, I could eat. He said, I got 3 sandwiches that I got from you out the cafeteria. The cafeteria's closed, but I bet you was hungry. I said, yes, sir, I sure is. He said, I got ham and I got turkey. It's like we're doing a drug deal for sandwiches in my hospital room. 10 o'clock at night. It's a fantastic drug deal. I said, I'll take a turkey. And I don't know why we're whispering. He's like, do you want 2 turkey sandwiches? I said, yes, I do. And then he looks at me, hands me the turkey sandwiches, right? So both of my hands are out, and they're wrapped in plastic. So it's not like he's just giving me just 2 raw bread in his hand turkey sandwiches. They're wrapped, and they're labeled turkey sandwiches, okay? So I extend both of my hands. He places the turkey sandwich in each of my hands. It's a very awkward moment. And then he looks at me, and he says, mustard or mayo? And I said, both. And he just laid some packets on top of these turkey sandwiches. Okay, here comes the fun part. Now they've got to do a tremendous amount of blood work so they can figure out exactly what is going on. And those of you that have spent time in the hospital when they are not entirely sure of what your ailments are, they find out via your blood. So when I found out that my hemoglobin was that low, my heart was not getting enough oxygen, and it made sense that they were treating me for a heart attack because my heart did mimic a heart attack. The next morning, I was scheduled for a couple of procedures. First, an endoscopy And then, lo and behold, Sherwin is going to get another colonoscopy because they got to determine the source of the GI bleed. Okay? So, next morning comes, and they're giving me the blood transfusions. By the way, please, y'all, donate blood. Please, I'm O positive, and I took 2 units that absolutely saved my life. So if you are able to give blood, please give blood. Of all of y'all that are listening, just somebody give a unit, somebody give another unit. Please replace the 2 units that I had to use because that blood will save somebody's life. I cannot give blood because of my anemia, but a lot of you can, and you might be concerned or worried, or you've never given blood before. I assure you they make it easy. It's a painless process, and you very well could save somebody's life. So for the units of blood that I took, please, I'm urging you. And those of you that are blood donors, thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because if it was not for you, well, somebody else would be filling in for me permanently, to say the least. So I'm scheduled for an endoscopy. This is where they go in through your throat with the little camera, and they look around, see what's going on. And then the colonoscopy, I think you guys know what that is. So the colonoscopy doesn't concern me or worry me because this would have been my 3rd one. And once you get through 2 of them, it becomes like old hat. So in the process of the endoscopy, they insert a small camera. Did you guys know about this? There's a little vitamin-sized camera that they insert through your esophagus, and then it travels through your duodenum and through your intestines, and it takes pictures for 12 hours of your intestines and in places where the endoscopy can't reach and the colonoscopy also cannot see. So I have this procedure scheduled for that morning, and so I have to wear this. I'm wearing a belt, like a sumo wrestler. It's a big, thick black belt, which is like this recorder that is recording all the photographs that are being taken while this camera is moving its way through my intestines. So that is on Saturday. I get back to my room, and now the visitors, people want to visit me. Let me back up one day. So when I arrived in the emergency room, the CAD call went out, the computer-aided dispatch. Probably has some basic demographic information, African-American male, 50 years old, 3rd Street Market Hall, complaining of chest pains, fell unconscious, on his way to St. Mary's Hospital. This is the dispatch call. Well, a lot of public officials heard that. They probably narrowed it down and thought it was me. They assumed I was having a heart attack, and so there were elected officials at the emergency room, which my mother clearly did not let them in. But thank you to all of the folks that did show up and wanted me to be okay, which I am. I'm still nuts, but at least I'm back somewhat in the physical form. So now it is Saturday morning. I've had the endoscopy. I've had the colonoscopy. I'm resting relatively comfortably. And I remember all my nurses are black women. And y'all want to discount black women. If they were not there, I don't know who would have been providing my care, but that's a whole nother story about the American healthcare system, which I got to witness firsthand. It ain't that bad. It's not. I know we hear a lot of stuff about the American healthcare system, the care that they took of me, and I want everyone to receive that level of care. And I'm glad that I was able to meet the African-American president of Columbia St. Mary's, but then I'm thinking to myself, I want you to treat everybody like me. Everybody that comes to that hospital for a hangnail or a stroke should receive that same level of care. I don't want to be treated different than anybody else. It is now Saturday, and people want to come and visit me. Some people I didn't want to come. Some I did. So I'm going to pause, take a break, and I'm going to tell you about 2 visitors that I got, and they brought food from the outside world. Side note, hospital food has gotten a lot better. It's not gourmet, but I don't know. I had a crusted cod fillet, which I would order at a restaurant. So hospital food has gotten a little bit better, okay? But everybody believes that hospital food is horrible. So the one thing that people want to do, and some people show their love and affection with food. So I had visitors come and like sneak food into the joint. Because at some point you feel like you're in prison because I can't go anywhere. I got a damn heart monitor on. I'm hooked up to an IV. They're giving me Protonics. I got a damn camera in my guts that they inserted. I can't go anywhere. My ass is out. There's a lot happening in these moments, and I can't go anywhere. And I got a bracelet on, a little wristband that says I'm a fall risk, which I don't think I was a fall risk, but apparently if you're admitted to the hospital with a blood pressure of 70/30, you're a fall risk. So now I'm marked as a fall risk. So even if I wanted to get up and walk around, they probably wouldn't let me. And I got all this stuff is beeping. I got an oxygen thing on my finger, and I got IVs all over the place. It's an ordeal, okay? And so I get some visitors who are going to bring me food from the outside world. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, wait till you hear this story. So we'll take a break, come back, and talk about the food from the outside world that I ate a lot of and probably should not have. And I was thinking that Al's voice was the last voice I was ever going to hear because that was the last phone call that I took on Friday, August 29th. And Al was talking about, a lot of y'all went back and watched that video, my last show that I did, and I can understand why, because I did an hour and 38 minutes of that show, and then for the duration of that program, YouTube went off, but then they replayed the previous day's show. So if you didn't know what was going on, you would have found something to be very unusual. And if you were listening that day, I can understand why you'd want to go back and see what the hell happened. Were there any visible signs of me appearing unwell? It's hard for me to watch it because I know how I was feeling on Friday. So when I went back to see if there were any visible signs of me feeling unwell, I saw the signs, but I don't know if any of you did. There was a couple of people that sent me messages that said that I looked unwell, but you got to keep in mind the last probably 10 or 15 seconds of my phone call with Al, I don't really remember because I'm starting to lose consciousness at that point. But yeah, Al was talking about Mr. Hughes, do you think it's a good idea if I start selling PCP? Angel dust. And here I am about to go unconscious. I'm like, Al is going to start selling hallucinogenic drugs? I'm like, this is awful. And I then ended the phone call, and then next thing you know, a bunch of white paramedics. I'll tell you what, look, handsome guys, When I looked up at the paramedics, I was like, well, either I'm in hell or I'm in gay heaven. So I guess cue the disco music because they're hunky guys. You know what I mean? They're all very well enjoyed. You got to move. Hey, move over here. You got to get the arm. You got to cut it. We need the IV 70/40. I'm just like, well, at least they're taking care of me. But that wasn't the case. They were very nice gentlemen. Whoever you gentlemen are, thank you so very much. So Saturday rolls around. So at this point, I've received intravenous infusion of what is called Protonics. Protonics slows and reduces the stomach acid, hydrochloric acid that's in your stomach that digests your food, because I have an inflamed stomach lining that is bleeding. And it is that bleeding that worsened the anemia. The anemia led to the low hemoglobin levels to where my heart was not getting enough oxygen, and my heart perfectly mimicked a heart attack, but I did not have a heart attack. Now, my heart was under stress, as were my kidneys, but those levels did come back to, I wouldn't say normal, but everything became a little bit more stable. So I received 2 units of blood. I often wonder, I wish they would give me a bio of the people whose blood I received. Might be a white guy. I might have Trumper blood in me. I might start voting Republican. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, if you've ever received a blood transfusion when your hemoglobin levels are that low, you feel stronger. I felt like my energy coming back. They also gave me an infusion of iron as well. So now I'm starting to get my iron back. So that is what carries oxygen to all of your organs. And when that oxygen level is low, because your hemoglobin is low, you're sluggish. You can't move. You can barely talk. You're tired all the time. You can barely keep your eyes open. But once those iron levels begin to come back after that hemoglobin or the blood transfusion and the iron infusion, I'm starting to feel like $1 million. So really, now I want to go home. But Sherwin is not going home. So if I can't go home, let's bring some of the outside world in to visit me. Friend of mine's like, hey, Sherwin, I'm going to come see you. I got treats. I like treats. So there are these, I don't even know what you call them. You guys remember they're like Cheddar Bay biscuits from the Lob. I call Red Lobster the Lob. But they had like chives and goat cheese in them. And she got them from the West Dallas Farmers Market. And she brought me and they're big and just buttery and flaky and delicious. And I ate all of them. And they were delicious. Not thinking that they're doing blood work on me, I don't know, probably every 3 hours, because they want to see how my iron levels are doing. They want to see if I'm responding to the protonics. So they're doing all of this blood work. So my friend came to visit me in between blood work tests. Okay? That friend leaves. Another friend, hey, Sherwin, I want to come visit. So now, since I had something savory, now Sherwin wants something sweet. Columbia St. Mary's is right across the street from the Whole Foods. Whole Foods, I kid you not, best chocolate chip cookies on planet Earth. I don't like a crunchy cookie. I like a soft cookie. I want my cookie to be like a flat cake. If you give me a crunchy cookie, you're the ops. I don't want it. Why would you want a crunchy cookie? A crunchy cookie is a sweet cracker. I like a soft cookie. Whole Foods makes a big old nice chocolatey, delicious chocolate chip cookie. So the next friend that wants to come, I say, yeah, you can come. But you're going to have to go to the Whole Foods, get me one of them chocolate chip cookies. They go to Whole Foods, they bring me the chocolate chip cookie. Now remember, I ate these like Cheddar Bay biscuit things that had the goat cheese and the chives. I mean, they were gourmet. Either that or any food from the outside world tastes a lot better than hospital food. So I ate the biscuit things, the cheese and chive biscuits, and then I had a chocolate chip cookie, okay? I probably still have chocolate on my face and chocolate on my gown. Remember, while all this is happening, my ass is hanging out of my gown, okay? The phlebotomist comes in to do blood work. I'm going to tell you what happens on the other side. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2. Welcome to hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, as I'm explaining my stunning, shocking health ordeal. Let me take another moment to thank all the people that reached out, called, and texted, and posted messages on social media. I really think that helped in my recovery. I mean, I didn't mean to scare y'all. I really didn't. It was not my intention. You know, I'm glad that I came to work that day, even though I didn't feel like it, because had this ordeal happened to me at home, the outcome probably would have been different and also a lot worse. So I'm glad that I was here, and shout out to Ricky. Ricky's not here today. And Zach as well, because Zach, I think he made the call to 911. I know that it was tough for him and tough for a lot of people, because apparently I was in bad shape, and you don't want anybody to see that. But I'm glad that I was here. So shout out to the people here that saved my life, and also the people in our healthcare system that will assist you with no bias. You know what the best part about it was? And I got to get to the blood work that they did after I just ate, I don't know, the equivalent of an entire damn bakery. Because some people show, their compassion through food, and I'm okay because I like to eat now. If you've ever met me, I'm not petite. Food is good. It's the way to my heart. It's delicious. I should have made better choices. I didn't hear a damn thing about what Trump was doing. I didn't talk about politics. I didn't talk about the Democrats. I didn't talk about the National Guard going to Chicago. I got a total reprieve from all of that, which was good. Let me also say this. A lot of folks, when they reached out to me, said, oh, Sherwin, your job is stressing you out. It's your job that did it. I think a lot of us are, trained to think that our jobs are very stressful and they're horrible, and our jobs can lead to poor health outcomes. In some cases, absolutely. I don't have that kind of job. My job allows me to vent. This job is therapy for me. So if anything, This job de-stresses me because if there's something on my chest, I just talk about it on the air. And a lot of things y'all don't even want to hear about, but I don't care. If there's something on my mind, I can't escape it when I get on the radio. And so it allows me to vent, and you always feel better when you vent. So this job does not stress me out. Quite honestly, there's no other place that I'd rather be between 9 a.m. and noon for the past, good Lord, probably 10 plus years. I've been talking to you all for 3 hours between 9 and noon. So it wasn't the job that stressed me out. It was just an inflamed stomach lining that can happen to any of us. Now, there are warning signs, and I ignored them because I also lean on the fact that the human body can sometimes, like, throw a code, right? It'll show you a sign, oh, you're sick, but then it'll go away. And the next day you feel perfect, and you feel perfect for the next week and the next 2 weeks, and then, boom, it'll throw another check engine light. Something unusual happens. And a lot of times we just chalk it up to getting older, and some of it absolutely is that, but you know when something is wrong. And I did not want to burden myself with not being here, which I know is stupid, because I want to be here to talk to y'all. I don't know who filled in for me. One day I tuned in. It must have been on, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday of last week. So I just wanted to see, because they don't tell me who fills in for me. Quite honestly, I don't care, because I was glad to be away from this for a little while because I didn't have to think about Trump or politics. It was just good to just totally, step back and tune all the stuff out. I ain't even watched the news. I watched the Hurricane Katrina documentary on Netflix. My God, that storm was worse than I remember. The storm wasn't that bad, but the levees broke. If you guys haven't seen the Hurricane Katrina documentary, by all means, but brace yourself. It is a rough one. So it is Saturday. I'm in the room, in my gown, ass out, IVs in my arm, heart monitor on my chest. Friend came to visit, brought me these delicious, baked biscuit things with the goat cheese and the chives in them, and I just devoured them. Nom, 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 nom. Another friend comes a little later. They brought me a chocolate chip cookie from the Whole Foods. I love me a Whole Foods chocolate chip cookie. I don't really get to the east side very often, apparently, unless I'm in the hospital. But if I'm on the east side, I got to go to the Whole Foods, and I got to get me a chocolate chip cookie. And maybe they have the same chocolate chip cookies at the Whole Foods on 114th and Burleigh. I don't know. I've never gotten a chocolate chip cookie from that Whole Foods. I know the chocolate chip cookies from the Whole Foods on the east side, so I had somebody bring me a chocolate chip cookie. So they do a lot of blood work when you're in the hospital because they're trying to determine a bunch of things. Like, what else is wrong? They're measuring, my potassium levels and phosphorus, and they're measuring all the things through the blood work. Well, because the hospital staff did not know I had eaten, they wanted to get what they thought was a fasting blood sugar. Because when they test your blood sugar, any food you eat is going to spike your insulin because insulin is produced to counteract the sugars and the starches and the carbohydrates in 99% of the things that we eat. So the phlebotomist comes in. Do CNAs draw blood? No, those are phlebotomists. And they don't call them CNAs anymore. I think that's derogatory. They are now PCTs. Don't call them a CNA. That's rude. They're now personal care technicians. So remember that. CNA, don't call them that. They're personal care technicians. Zach, thank you for saving my life. Appreciate it, man. That's very nice for you to do that.
Thanks for being alive.
Thank you. I'm trying my best.
Probably would have had to quit if you died.
Well, don't do that, because that's still.
I wouldn't be able to be here.
I'm going to tell you this. Of all the messages that I got, you know who sent me the most touching, heartwarming message? And I got tons of them. I got messages from people that don't even like me, which is nice, but now that they know that I'm okay, they don't like me again, which is fine. Tori sent me the most heartfelt message. I didn't expect it, but thank you, Tori. Tori looked out. Tori, I think, got a good relationship with God. He has to. He must. Because when I read Tori, I'm not going to read it to you because it's between me and him.
Yeah, Tori was a deacon. Of course he has a good
That's right. Tori was
a deacon.
He was a deacon in the church. I was 15. I was a deacon in the church. So when I read Tori's text message, not only did I read it out loud, I read it in his voice. So I had to make it a little bit more authentic. So I ate, I don't know, 3 of these delicious, I can't even describe these things. They were just cheesy and flavorful. So my friend brought me these, like, think Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster, but with like chives in them and goat cheese. I mean, these things were insanely delicious. Then another friend comes a little while later and gets me a chocolate chip cookie from the Whole Foods. So at this point, the hospital thought I had not eaten. So like, oh, Sherwin, we're gonna draw some blood. Now I didn't know that they were testing my blood glucose because they draw so much blood when you're in the hospital but I know that when they draw the blood and they get the results, it immediately updates my chart. You guys have my chart? My chart is fantastic. You can track all of your health on the my chart, okay? So they draw blood because they believe that I had been fasting and they want to get a glucose reading just to be on the safe side because at this point they're starting to rule out stuff. They have an idea of what caused my low hemoglobin, but they want to start ruling out other things. And it's just natural as an African American who is 50 years old. We, as Black people, especially in my age group, have a lot of diabetes. In fact, if there's ever a type 3 diabetes, Black people will probably get it, and Robert Kennedy Jr. will probably dismiss it. We got to talk about him at some point, too, because he is going to kill millions of Americans. We have got a conspiracy theorist who is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and he is going to kill people. I might got to dedicate a whole nother show to him because it is frightening what this man thinks. And I'm not going to get into the vaccine debate with y'all. But if you ever have the opportunity to go to like an old cemetery where all the people were born in like either the early 1900s or the 1800s, you know, one of them old cemeteries where it looks haunted and there's moss growing on the tombstones and the tombstones are so old, they're crooked, they're leaning. And you look, you'll see born 1901, died 1901. And you'll see another one. You'll see born 1897, died 1898. Because those were children that died prior to us having vaccine technology. Past like 1940, 1950, you see a dramatic decrease in the death of babies because we had vaccines. I got to pause there. We'll talk about that another time. So they take my blood work, and I don't think anything of it. And so maybe, I don't know, an hour later, like a crowd of people, doctors and interns and med students, and a lot of doctors, a bunch of doctors came in, cardiologists came in, a GI doctor. They all ask you a whole bunch of questions, and they all have med students with them, and they're all looking at you like you're a specimen, and my ass is hanging out. They're going to remember me. You're going to remember this ass. And so there's a whole group of new, like, doctors that come into my room. Now, this is Saturday now. I got admitted Friday morning. We are now Saturday, somewhere around lunchtime. Okay, a whole nother group of people. And a doctor, he introduces himself, but I don't remember all of their names. He said, Sherwin, how long have you been a diabetic? I said, what now? He said, yeah, how... Like, what's your regimen? Like, we didn't have any of this information about your type 2 diabetes on any of your charts. So how long have you had diabetes? And, you know, have you had symptoms of this and symptoms of that? I'm confused. I'm like, because I don't have diabetes. And I'm thinking to myself, I went to this damn hospital and somebody done gave me the diabetes. Somebody injected me with the sugar diabetes. Now I got diabetes. And they're very serious. And I'm confused as hell because they're looking at me like I'm supposed to know at 50 that I have diabetes, which I do not have. My fasting blood sugar is like 90. It's always very, very healthy. So here's what happened. I ate the baked goods that a friend brought me. Bread, carbohydrates, and starches raises your blood sugar through the roof. Now, your blood sugar over time comes down, but shortly after you eat something that's high in starch and carbohydrates, fiber too is a carbohydrate, your blood sugar is going to go through the roof because your body is going to overproduce insulin to compensate for all of the starches and all of the carbohydrates. To make it worse, my big back ass also had a chocolate chip cookie. So I had nothing but breads and starches and sugars and carbohydrates, and they took my blood work when they thought that I was fasting. So my normal, regular fasting blood sugar of 90 is not like 233. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to have to give you an insulin injection. I said, no, the hell you're not. And then I had to break down and tell them what I ate. And I pointed in a corner and it was nothing but wrappers, the chocolate chip cookie. And they were like, oh, man, you got to tell us this stuff. The doctor got mad at me. He said, look at all these people. These are all diabetes people. We're going to help you with your diabetes, but you don't have it. We're going to check your blood work every hour now. And, of course, my blood sugar did, in fact, go down. But I didn't even think for a second as they're doing all this blood work that me just devouring these delicious little, I wish I knew the name of them damn things. They're so buttery and flaky and cheesy. And then I had a chocolate chip cookie and my blood sugar went through the damn roof. So that was another disaster that was averted. Saturday evening went relatively well. Reference is no good. That's not the best use of description. All right. Sunday comes around, my parents are visiting, my brother is there too, my parents brought me some clothes. So for the first time, I'm dressed in normal clothes, and so whenever my nurse comes back, she is going to see me out of my hospital bed, sitting in that chair. You always get those chairs in the hospital room. And she's going to see that I'm fully dressed, and I'm going to plead my case. I'm going to lobby my nurse for my release, even though it is not up to her. I am hoping that the stability of my iron levels, the increase in my iron levels, and all the other, my creatinine, which measures my kidney function, everything is improving. And I feel like $1,000,000. I'm still severely anemic, but I feel much, much better. My IV has now been taken out. I've got full use of my arms, and also for the first time in 2 days, my ass is not hanging out of a hospital gown, okay? My nurse comes in after, 30 or 45 minutes of me visiting with my brother and my parents, and I say to her immediately, I said, look, it's time for me to go now. You're a wonderful lady. You've taken very good care. Like, I'm ready to plead my case to her. I'm not necessarily going to ask her if I can go home. I'm going to tell her that I am going home, and I've got my brother there and my parents there, and they can take me home. And she said, Mr. Hughes, I'm here to tell you that you have been cleared for release. And I said to her, you better believe it, because I was going to clear myself. Then they give you the packet of papers. Why they can't email the papers? Don't know why they can't email the papers, but they give you a packet of paper. Don't do this, take this, do this, go here, do this, sleep, eat this, drink the water, and do this, and then don't take this medication, take this medication. If you take this medication, don't take that, don't take that. If you have any questions, call this number. So I have the packet of papers. I collect all of my things, and I walk down a very quiet hospital hallway with my family, making my way to the elevator. Hop in the vehicle with my brother. We go back to my parents' house. My parents want me to stay with them, and I can understand that because they are concerned that maybe I'm not fully healed, maybe I need more ambulatory care, and they wanted me to stay with them. And I refuse, and let me tell you why. Do you ever just miss being at home? You don't want to be anywhere else. You could be on vacation, and you've had enough of vacation. You could be somewhere out of town. You could be visiting relatives. You could be anywhere. Hell, you could be at work, and the only place you can think of is home. Now, it's a particular risk because people did think I had a heart attack on Friday. Now I'm back at home, or want to be back at home by myself on Sunday, so I can understand how a lot of people were nervous and concerned. But I also know that if anything happened, there's a bunch of people that I can call, including 911. And so I then had to lobby my parents. I am 50 years old and had to lobby my parents like I am a child that I just wanted to go home. And nobody wanted to take me. So we're sitting around, and I had dinner with my parents Sunday night. And I'm like, you know how you do that thing, like the nonverbal where you're ready to leave, and you go, well, you do a little sigh, and you just kind of look around. But that's usually what you do before you get up walk out and drive your own vehicle home. Well, I don't have my car. I need a ride home. And they know that I'm ready to go. I'm looking at my brother. He can't look me in the face. I look over at my mama. She just starts looking up in the sky. And I look at my dad. I'm thinking to myself, Eugene, you're my last hope. You got to help me escape. He's all right, then I guess I'll have to take you home then, since nobody else wants to take you home. We'll take a break, come back, continue our conversation. I will say this, that the men and women of healthcare, maybe they get a bad rap, but I think considering the circumstances that they are in and dealing with a very unhealthy public and even the political circumstance, because unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, our healthcare has been politicized unnecessarily. And I say unnecessarily because none of those doctors asked me if I was a Democrat or a Republican, if I voted for Kamala Harris or if I voted for Donald Trump. These such conversations do not matter when you are in the care of other people whose job it is, whose profession it is, whose vocation it is to make sure that you are in the best physical health possible. Politics should not enter into any of that. I don't care how you feel about a vaccine. If I need one, I should be able to get it. Someone who is an anti-vaxxer should not have the ability and the authority to say, Sherwin, you shouldn't get that because I don't like it. If you don't like the vaccine, you don't get it. Someone should not be able to come into a setting where you have trained professionals in medicine, which is basically impossible because you don't do medicine, you practice it because it's a roll of the dice. And what we do not need in America right now are people who are not trained physicians, who have no medical expertise whatsoever, telling a very sick country what healthcare actually looks like. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back. Also, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley will be here tomorrow. I think he's going to be in studio. There's something he wants to tell you. I think he has some news he wants to share. I don't know if the news he wants to share has been made like officially public. If it has not been made officially public, then I don't want to make it officially public. I'm going to let him do that. But the news that he wants to share, I think he's going to share it today. Maybe he shared it already. I don't know. Don't ask me because I can't tell you. But he will be here tomorrow, either on the phone or in studio. He reached out to me. So did the previous county executive, Chris Abley. I have a friend in Greece. I didn't even know that I had a friend in Greece. And he sent me a text message at a real weird time in the morning. He said, hey, Sherwin, I'm in Greece. I heard what happened to you. Hope you're feeling okay. The radio station, Good Karma Brands, 1017 The Truth. I don't want to laugh because it's not funny. Put out a statement that it was cryptic, but it was scary, too, because if you read it, and they posted it on a social media and it got shared, I don't know how many times. I think that's why so many people I hadn't heard from in ages reached out to me because they saw what was posted on the 1017 The Truth, I think, Facebook page. But they had to because I was here for an hour and a half on that Friday, and then for the next hour and a half I was not, so they had to say something. I know a lot of people had reached out to me because when I checked my messages, my God, when I turned my phone back on, that must have been... So Friday, August 29th is when I went to the hospital, so probably late that evening. Yeah, when the mysterious black man gave me the turkey sandwiches. I turned my phone back on, and holy smokes, the messages. And then I saw the statement that the radio station released, and it talked about me having a medical emergency while I was here. I mean, it sounded like I had either a stroke or a heart attack, so I could understand people's concerns. So I wanted to do my level best to alleviate people's fears. I'm okay. I feel better, but that's also deceiving. I am in close contact with all of my healthcare providers. I'm just going to take stuff one day at a time. So I know a lot of my colleagues here, and thank my colleagues, people that I didn't even know. Hey, Telly, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. People that I didn't even think gave a hoot about who I was. People that worked at other radio stations here, ESPN people, TMJ people, they all reached out to me. They offered everything from, I'm not kidding you, from kind words and condolences to, and people always say, oh, Sherwin, whatever you need. I had somebody reach out to me like, Sherwin, do you need a stripper nurse? I said, come again? She's like, oh, no. It's like, yeah, she's like, I know somebody that should make you feel real good. I said, just hold that thought.